You ever hear a sentence so sharp it rewires an entire room? Give me 5 seconds because what a 12-year-old says in a school hallway is about to expose a grown woman's bias like a lab report under a microscope. I can't sit down, teacher. It hurts too much. My father is to blame. Amara's voice cracked through the corridor of Lincoln School, and the sound carried raw pain, real tears. A child bent forward, clutching her lower back, as if every breath tugged at something inflamed. Teacher Denise Williams stopped so fast her heels squeaked. The hallway, usually a conveyor belt of noise and backpacks, suddenly felt quiet enough to hear Amara's sobs bounce off lockers. Anyone watching would think the moment was pure crisis. A sixth grader in agony, a teacher rushing in with concern. But what made Denise Williams freeze wasn't just the child's pain. It was the opportunity that lit behind her eyes for a brief, unmistakable second. The look of someone who thinks they've finally found the proof they've been waiting for, the leverage that turns whispered suspicion into public spectacle. Denise Williams had arrived at this suburban school after a transfer, the kind people never explain out loud. Staff didn't openly discuss it, but rumors followed her the way smoke follows heat. Something about complaints at her last private school. Something about how she talked to parents. Something about incidents. Now in this empty hallway with a black girl crying and the words "my father" hanging in the air like a flare, Williams saw a golden ticket. Not to help a student, no, to validate every bitter story she'd built in her head about families like the Thompsons. She crouched down, face arranged in theatrical tenderness. "Amara, sweetie," she said, voice soft and syrupy. "Tell me exactly what happened." Her hands hovered like a rescuer's, but her eyes were doing math. Amara Thompson wasn't an average kid. At 12, she'd already skipped 2 grades, not because someone pulled strings. Because she was that kind of mind-fast, curious, structured. Her father was an aerospace engineer who treated problems like systems, and her mother was a pediatrician who treated symptoms like signals. In their house, questions weren't disrespect. They were survival. And over the last few months, Amara had noticed things. The way Ms. Williams' attention tightened when black students spoke. The way mistakes were suddenly easier to find in their work. The way compliments were handed out like candy to certain kids and rationed to others. Amara had also noticed the whispers, little comments that sounded harmless if you didn't know how to listen, but formed a pattern if you did. So when Amara looked up through tears and said, "My father, he made me do something that hurt a lot," she wasn't just speaking. She was baiting a trap with precision. Williams leaned in closer, practically glowing with the thrill of it. "Go on, dear. You can tell me everything. Your teacher is here to protect you." From these people, the phrase "these people" slid out like it belonged in her mouth. What Williams didn't realize, what she didn't even consider possible, was that Amara's smartwatch was recording every word. That watch was a birthday gift, and Amara had learned to use it like a tool, not a toy. She understood something most adults forget. When a system is unfair, you don't win by shouting, you win by documenting. Williams guided Amara down the hall toward her office with a hand on the girl's shoulder that felt gentle but made Amara's skin crawl. As they walked, Denise's mind raced ahead. Social services police. Maybe even a friendly reporter she knew from her old school days. She pictured headlines with the same hunger she'd just hidden under concern. Successful family hides dark secrets. Behind the perfect image, wealth can't mask abuse. In her imagination, she wasn't just reporting abuse. She was finally getting revenge on a family that made her feel inferior. The Thompsons had that quiet, free confidence, that polished competence, that kind of success that forces some people to either respect it or resent it. In her office, Williams clicked the door shut and, like a woman who thought she was building her case, turned on a tabletop recorder. "Sit here, sweetheart," she said, voice warm. "Now tell me, what exactly did your father do? You can speak without fear. Auntie will protect you." Amara glanced at the recorder and almost smiled. 2 recordings, she thought. Different angles. Better metadata. Then she lowered her eyes and let tears roll. Some were real, not from physical pain, but from months of swallowing, small humiliations, and watching her classmates swallow them too. He forced me into a very painful position," Amara murmured. Williams' breathing changed, quicker, eager, like a predator getting closer. "What kind of position, sweetheart?" she asked. "Can you draw it for me if that's easier?" Amara's face stayed innocent. Her voice stayed shaky. He made me stay on all fours for a long time, she said, carefully watching William's reaction. It hurt a lot back here. He said it was for my own good, but I didn't want to keep going. Williams nearly vibrated with satisfaction. This was exactly the kind of story that could burn down a family. And your mother? Williams asked, pushing. Where was she? Amara sniffed. Working. She's always working, she replied, letting the sadness sound believable. Dad said it was our secret, that I shouldn't tell anyone. Williams stood up and paced like she was already in front of a jury. Listen to me, Amara. This is important. Some families, especially families who think they're superior, think they can do anything because they have money. Amara tilted her head, playing confused. What kind of families, Miss Williams? Denise hesitated, then made the mistake arrogance always makes. She assumed she was safe. Families like yours, she said, bitterness leaking through. The ones who came from nothing and now think they own the world. Ms. Williams, Martinez said tightly, I need to talk to you. And you must be Amara. Your mother's on her way. Williams put on a poisonous smile. Dr. Martinez, I'm glad you're here. We've uncovered a very serious situation. This child is being abused by her father. The investigator approached Amara in a professional tone. Amara, can you tell me what happened in your own words? And that's when Amara executed the first turn of the knife, not in anger, but in strategy. Yes, she said, voice suddenly steadier. But first, can I ask why Miss Williams said, families like mine think they own the world? What did she mean by families like mine? The silence hit like a dropped gavel. Miss Williams went pale. I didn't say that, she stammered. You're confused, Amara lifted her wrist slightly. It's recorded, she said calmly. This conversation. And the one in the hallway. Both. Dr. Martinez's eyes narrowed. Recorded. The social worker's pen stopped midair. Ms. Williams Martinez asked, Did you make inappropriate comments about a student's family? Denise snapped back to offense mode. Don't be fooled. This child is manipulative. She's diverting attention from abuse. But now the room had a new variable. Doubt. And Amara understood that once doubt enters a system, every output gets reevaluated. While they waited for Amara's parents, the girl returned to the posture of a frightened victim on the surface. Inside, she was calm. Denise Williams had underestimated her, and that was the whole point. Minutes later, the door opened again, and Amara parents arrived like a storm with clean lines. Dr. Robert Thompson was impeccably dressed, a black man with a posture that made people instinctively straighten. Dr. Patricia Thompson still wore her lab coat over her clothes, eyes sharp with the clinical focus of a pediatrician who has seen every kind of harm. Where is my daughter? Patricia's voice cut through the room like a surgical instrument. Amara ran into their arms, hugging hard, dramatic. Forward, voice low and powerful. Toxic environment, he repeated. Ma'am, I've been a chief aerospace project engineer for 15 years. My wife saves children's lives daily. Tell me, specifically, what toxic environment you're implying. The social worker's tone sharpened. Miss Williams, your allegation is serious. I need concrete evidence. Without it, this investigation stops. Williams flared. The evidence is in the child. She said her father forced her into painful positions. These families think they can do anything because they have money. And then the sound no one expected filled the room. Amara laughed. Not cruel, not loud. Clear, intelligent laughter like someone hearing a hypothesis collapse under its own bad assumptions. Daddy, Amara said, looking at Williams with a maturity that made the teacher step back. Can I show everyone what she really thinks about our family? Robert's smile was thin. Yes, my daughter. Show them everything. Amara tapped her watch. Williams' own voice poured out into the room. Families like yours who came from nothing and now think they own the world. Untouchable Princess Denise's face drained. That's out of context, she whispered. Amara didn't argue. She just cued the next file. Some families who think they're superior. They think they can do anything because they have money. Dr. Martinez looked like he'd swallowed ice. The investigator started writing fast, jaw tight. Amara kept going, methodical, like presenting evidence in a design review. Mom, Dad, she said, do you want to know why my back hurt? She smiled, suddenly almost sweet. Yesterday we spent 5 hours in Dad's lab building a model rocket for the science fair. The metal benches are really hard. My back is sore from bad posture. Williams's mouth opened and closed like a machine trying to start with no fuel. Amara's voice stayed steady. Miss William, would you like to know what else I recorded? She didn't raise her voice. She didn't threaten. Stated the next data set. 6 months of comments about black students. Grades lowered without explanation. Side remarks. Whispered jokes. Then the watch played a compilation, small moments, stitched into a pattern so clear it was impossible to deny. These parents never keep up with their kids. Are you sure you wrote this, Michael? It's advanced for someone like you. Angela, maybe choose something simpler. Not all of us are born to be scientists. That Thompson girl thinks she's a genius because of money. You know how it is with these families. Every clip landed like a nail in a coffin. Robert crossed his arms, voice icy. My daughter is 12 and has an IQ of 160. She skipped grades because of merit. And for 6 months, she documented discrimination at a school that was supposed to protect her. Denise Williams finally understood the scale of her mistake. This wasn't a child she could intimidate. This was a strategist with a scientific approach to injustice. Observe, record, classify, validate, then publish. Dr. Martinez stood slowly. Ms. Williams, you are dismissed for the rest of the day. There will be a disciplinary hearing tomorrow. Amara, though, had one more clean strike. She looked at Martinez with polite clarity. Dr. Martinez, may I ask something? Ms. Williams said families like mine came from nothing. My great-grandparents built 3 schools in the rural community where they were born. My grandparents were the first black doctors in their town. My parents have 4 degrees between them. So where exactly do you think we came from? Williams tried to leave, but Amara kept her voice calm, not cruel, and she called me an untouchable princess. I volunteer at my mom's hospital every Saturday. I tutor kids in math every Sunday. What part of that is untouchable? Denise stumbled out, exposed, while the adults in the room stood in the uncomfortable quiet of truth. The next morning, the hearing room was packed. Board members, the district superintendent, Dr. Council, and a teachers' union rep who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Williams sat alone. Her union had refused full defense after reviewing the recordings. Dr. Martinez opened in a solemn voice. Ms. Williams, these are serious charges. Systematic racial discrimination, false reporting of child abuse, and inappropriate conduct with a minor. Amara sat between her parents, Smartwatch connected to a projector like a courtroom exhibit. Denise tried a last-ditch story. This family orchestrated a trap, she said, trembling. I'm the victim, Robert leaned forward. A trap, he said. My daughter documented 6 months of racism. That's not a trap. That's evidence. William snapped. She's manipulative, don't you see? That family thinks they're better than everyone. And that's when Dr. Rodriguez's face hardened. Amara looked up calmly. Dr. Rodriguez, she said, may I show you how Ms. Williams treats students based on race? The projector filled with audio timestamps and clips. Michael, are you sure you wrote this? It's advanced for someone like you. Williams whispered, out of context, but the pattern was the context. Then another clip. Angela, choose something simpler. Know our limitations. Then the one that made the board go cold. Williams practically celebrating when she believed she'd found a way to destroy the Thompsons. I'll call my contacts in the press. Imagine the headlines. Silence. Heavy total. Dr. Rodriguez spoke slowly, voice like steel. In 30 years of education, I have rarely witnessed conduct this deplorable. You showed racial prejudice, then tried to use a child as a tool for your own frustrations. Williams cried. I'm not racist. I thought I was protecting a child. Patricia stood, calm but lethal. Protecting, she said. You questioned my daughter about implied sexual abuse with no medical assessment. You contacted social services without evidence. You attempted to destroy our family based on prejudice. Turned to the Thompsons. On behalf of the district, I apologize. Then Amara delivered what made the room realize this was bigger than one teacher. Down our side, there's something else, she said. A spreadsheet appeared, organized, dated, labeled teacher names, quotes, grade disparities by race, even simple graphs showing patterns across classes. Board members leaned forward. Someone murmured, this is an academic investigation. Robert's voice carried quiet pride. At 12, she conducted field research that would impress any sociologist. Dr. Martinez announced the decision. Ms. Williams, you are terminated for cause. Benefits canceled. Permanent note in your professional record. Dr. Rodriguez added the final blow. We are referring this to the State Department of Education. Your license will be revoked. Denise Williams walked out with her career collapsing behind her, Not because a child tricked her, but because her own words had finally been measured, recorded, and made undeniable. In the hallway, teachers avoided her eyes. Nobody wanted contact with a burning building. Outside, Dr. Martinez approached Amara gently. "Amara," he said, "I'm sorry you experienced this." Amara nodded once, then offered the most grown-up suggestion in the room. "The school needs bias training and a better reporting system," she said. "I can help build it." Martinez managed a genuine smile. "It would be an honor." Months later, reforms rolled out. Mandatory training, anonymous reporting, clearer grading rubrics, oversight mechanisms. Amara didn't just win a personal battle, she forced a system to update. And 6 months after the incident, in a city convention center, Amara stood on stage receiving a Young Civil Rights Activist Award, the youngest recipient in the program's history. Her parents watched with the kind of pride that doesn't need applause. Amara adjusted the microphone and spoke with the same calm she'd used in that office. "I dedicate this to children who suffer in silence." She said, "Justice because you're small." Documenting isn't paranoia. It's preparation. Across town, Denise Williams watched from a small apartment, job rejections piling up, her own words echoing back at her from every headline and training seminar. Meanwhile, Amara opened letters from kids across the country, describing discrimination and asking what to do. She looked at her father and said, "We need an organization." And that's how the Amara Thompson Foundation began. Guidance, legal support, training parents and students to document and respond the right way. A child who was supposed to be an easy target became a blueprint for accountability. So here's the question. What happens when a 12-year-old proves that evidence can do what adults are too afraid to do? Tell the truth out loud. If you believe intelligence and determination can outwork prejudice, stay with this channel, because stories like this aren't just entertainment, they're reminders that underestimating the wrong person can cost you everything.